Hi everyone, and welcome back to Sister Lines.
I'm Laura.
And I'm Julie, and this is our third episode. We're going to be talking about all things desirability, beauty standards, insecurities,
And how fucked up society is. Trigger warning, this video will contain topics about body image, beauty standards, weight, value. So if you're triggered by these topics, please watch one of our other videos, and if not, stay and enjoy. You have to be flawless but without showing it, because if you're trying too hard, then you're vain, but if you're not trying enough, then you're lazy.
I wanted to say BBL, not BBL, but in my head I said lobotomy, not lobotomy. I hope that does not become a trend.
Why would you do a BBL? You know, if there wasn't this beauty standard of having a big booty, big bunda, you wouldn't even be insecure. Man's ugly. Oh, she's gonna judge. Like, did you feel like you based your self-worth on these beauty standards?
Damn.
That's a deep question. I was like, I'm gonna expose us right now.
I'm nervous.
But in that moment, I couldn't change anything. I was so
Especially as a
I was
child.
so deep, in it. I was like, I need help. I don't need judgment. Society make beauty seem like this very narrow, nearly unreachable thing. Like, unless if you're super thin, clear skin, you're put together 24/7, somehow you're less worthy, and society pushes that bright beauty, and it's a very small box and it's nearly impossible to fit in it. People base their worth on how they look and if they don't fit this little box. So I think it's crazy how it's literally impossible to be beautiful according to what society says is beautiful.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Society teaches us about beauty or the messages because they're pretty subliminal. So they're like hidden, they're very subtle. But it is when you walk into a grocery store and you have the beauty aisle, it's in the ads when you're at the bus stop and you see a fragrance ad and it's like this insane model, male or female. It's on your phone all the time, on the ads, on YouTube, on Instagram, wherever you're TikTok. There's always a new trend on TikTok, right? A new lip gloss, a new perfume for men, this new workout routine, or this new, I don't know, pair of shoes. So there's always something that you can attain further from where you're at. And it's this constant chase to improving yourself, how you look.
Okay, so I think it's really important to touch on the difference between male and female. Do you think there's a bigger pressure to look good or to fit that standard as a woman?
Yes.
I 100% agree too.
As women, I mean, first of all, we live in a patriarchal society. All of the world is constructed on a male advantage. That's just a fact, unfortunately. And women have been oppressed for centuries, and women have been socialized to believe and to use beauty as their biggest asset. You can't deny the centuries of history we have from the Middle Ages and later, when you had a dowry, right? And your only thing to secure your safety was within marriage, that you would gain that stability.
Women have to be, it's not about just looking good. It's about being flawless. You have to be flawless, but without showing it. Because if you're trying too hard, then you're vain. But if you're not trying enough, then you're lazy. There's literally no winning in this game, in this society. And it's really crazy. And don't get me wrong, guys are also judged, and there are beauty standards for guys, but it's not the same because they can age, they can grow into the man they're going to become. As a woman, your whole value is based on your looks. So you're supposed to look 22 your whole life.
Yeah, no. And I think for men, it is different. I don't want to speak for men because I don't know what the experience is like. We just know the women experience, but I'm sure for men, there's pressures too. I mean, especially in terms of how strong, how tall. That's a huge one. There's so much, and I think men struggle heavily with that too. But nonetheless, we live in a patriarchal world that does favor them. So like we're gonna talk about the woman experience here.
Nowadays, there's a lot on social media, like so many trends. Do you think they're more like helpful or hurtful?
Hurtful. That's what trends are. It's this compulsion to overconsumption in a short period of time, where a lot of things are going to get created, and then once no one wants them anymore because it's not the trend anymore, where does the waste go? Trends are extremely harmful. It feeds into this chase for, you're not on a trend right now, you're going to be on the next one or the one after that. There's always going to be something that is going to be trendy: big hair, big lashes, small nose, big lips, small waist. I don't know. I was gonna say I wanted to say BBL, not BBL, but in my head I said lobotomy, not lobotomy. I hope that does not become a trend.
Oh my god. Okay. Queen. For me, it's both. There is much more representation. Like you see different shapes, colors, body types, and it's kind of empowering because some creators are really like open and they show their flaws and embrace them. So it can be empowering, but at the same time, I feel like trends move super fast, like you said. So it's really hard to keep up with them, and it really messes with your head.
If there is someone that shows diversity or shows a type of content that is not the majority, so a new type of color, size, way of dressing, representing a certain culture, it should not be a trend.
Yeah.
It should not be this thing that you consume super quickly and forget about the next day or the next month. The stories are real. Dressing is hyper cultural. It expresses your identity, expresses where you're from in a lot of cases. It's not to be consumed in a snippet of time and then forgotten, and that's what I really dislike about it.
For example, the supposed self-love trends, like the glow up trend, it can seem positive, but it's actually really like not and harmful because so there's this person who, regardless if it was for themselves or for their mental health, because they seem better because they've gone out of depression, I don't know, or they started eating healthy and stuff, and they did that for themselves. If they show their progress, even if they're not trying to get this kind of image or comments or compliments, people are going to see that person as more worthy because they look prettier or because they look better, and they sexualize it. There's this version of yourself that was before, and it was ugly, and then you had the glow up, and then now you're suddenly more pretty and you have more value and more worth, and so you're showing it off. And yeah, there is always in the back of your mind the difference between before and after, and I wasn't good enough before, and now because I look better or in a certain way, I have more worth.
Okay, so with self improvement, yeah, there is an issue there because it's okay to be in the hustle of wanting to change yourself because you want to get stronger, leaner. You're training for this half marathon, you just have goals and you want to, pursue those goals. That's completely fine. What is not fine with self improvement, I think, and where the issue lies is within this question of worthiness and value, right? Because if beforehand at your rock bottom, you didn't accept yourself and you felt like you had no value or you were unworthy, which, by the way, feeling worthy and feeling that you're valued is hard. It's very hard in this society. If you do, that's so great. If you really feel like you have that, amazing. I think most people don't. Or at least I know I've really struggled with that.
Yeah, I did too.
If you want to change and you think you have no worth or no value, and then you go on this quest to change yourself physically, let's say we're talking about physical appearance here, the problem is that when you're going to get to your goal, that self-worth and that value is not going to magically appear. We live in a society that does encourage, or not encourage, but that works with pretty privilege.
Totally, yeah.
And so whether you're a man or a woman, you're gonna get those privileges within society. I don't know, for girls, you might get more guy attention, you might get easier,
Even fucking jobs.
you might get easier into places. For guys, you might get more girls, you might get this status, whatever. It works for both genders, like improving yourself physically and looking quote unquote like beautiful, attractive, whatever, is going to help you out within the society. Even if you get there, it's not going to be from a true sense of you love yourself, and that's such a shame. because whilst the process of you getting there is so brave, it's hard to do that, and it's pretty courageous, and it's resilient to do that for yourself. It's yeah, it's just sad, I think, that within the rock bottom you can't accept yourself, and so you always think you have to strive for better and get there, and it's only when you get there that you're going to be loved or valued by yourself. I'm not even talking about other people, but for yourself.
Yeah, and I want to bounce off of that because plastic surgery is very normalized today, and a lot of people go through these operations, and a lot of them say, "Oh, I do it for myself. I do it to feel better." But sometimes it can seem a bit hypocritical because why would you do a BBL? You know, if there wasn't this beauty standard of having a big booty, big bunda, you wouldn't even be insecure about your fucking booty. You know what I mean? You wouldn't want to change it, and it's important to really question. Oh, why do you really do it? Do you do it because you want to fit in a certain societal standard, or is it actually an insecurity that you think will make you feel better? But even in that moment, it's I feel like it's always driven or it's always pushed by what people think is beautiful.
Oh, for sure, yeah. And
And honestly, no judgment. It's your body, it's your choice. I think it was interesting to really question that. It's actually really like fucking beauty standards that pushes everything, like every choice you make.
yeah, people have autonomy over their own bodies, and they can do whatever they want with their bodies.
Mm.
That's important. But I highly encourage you to ask yourself, what are the beauty standards that you accept and why? And really delve into that concept of beauty. I think that there's a lot of preconceived notions and ideas and beliefs we have of beauty from our community, from the people that we've grown up with, like our surroundings. Challenge them and see what arises. And I think that is almost a must in this society.
We're all brainwashed. I have a friend. I love her, and she's super deep, and she has the good connections. But
What do you mean she has good connections? You're only friends with her for her connections? What do you mean?
no. She has emotional depth.
So you're only friends with her because she has emotional depth?
But if that man's ugly, oh, she's gonna judge. And I feel like we all have that. We put an importance on appearance. And for example, if you're talking to a man's like, and you want to show him off, you know, the thing of, but he looks better in real life. He looks. And then you have these friends who like kind of not judge you, but it's like, girl, come on, you can do better. And you're like, but bro, you don't know him, and he's a person. And I feel like we put too much of an importance on appearance.
I feel like for the men here, just to flip the script, and I don't know, I don't want to speak for men. They're gonna, I don't know, I'm scared of men. For the man, it's gonna be some narrative that sounds like, no, but she doesn't look like in her pictures. I have to see if she looks like in the pictures. I have to see if she looks like on her Instagram, where I have to. And it's so
she's a catfish.
It's so stupid because that's the thing. It's like I think our notion of beauty, especially with social media,
it's so fucked up.
It's so exterior related.
Yeah.
And for me, what beauty, because I think we're going to touch upon okay, so we're going to get there, but I'm just going to preface here and say I think beauty is much more, and I think a lot of people actually do think this. I have friends who think like this, so this is also not new, and like, but I tend to vibe with the people more who see beauty as the energy that you exude, how you make people feel, the passions that you have, the hobbies that you have, the way your brain thinks. It's much more than your physical looks. It's how you carry yourself. Are you a kind person? Are you generous? Or do you care about social values? Like, to me, that's beauty.
This leads us to our next question topic. Is there a difference between personal preference or cultural conditioning? Because that ties kind of to what we're talking about. I feel like the line is way blurrier than people think. And because there's this, so many people preach the fact that, oh, this is just my type, or I like this better. But actually, it's what social media or ads or movies portray as beautiful. For example, back then it was more curves. Now it's more thin with a big booty, with a small waist. They are so put on a pedestal, and like they're shown in their best light, and then people see that and they're like, oh my god, okay, this is beauty, this is beautiful. And so the line between I think this is beautiful and, oh, society tells me that that is beautiful, is so blurry. and you get lost in it and you don't even know, oh, is it actually my type, or am I just, I'm pushed by these societal norms. I'm also basing what I think beauty is about how people will also see beauty, because I don't want to be an outsider. I don't want to
Yeah,
have different opinions
yeah,
or
yeah.
think something else is not beautiful, or I don't want to be judged because I think someone is beautiful and it's actually not, like it's not in the societal norm.
Yeah. You won't know until you deconstruct your idea of beauty and what beliefs you hold, and you actually observe that and really look at that. Look, I'm sat here on a couch. I have a slicked back hairstyle. I have makeup on my face. I'm wearing jewelry. I have a nice blouse on. I have jeans. I might extra expose myself here. I have a pink Stanley Cup.
Not the Stanley Cup.
People make fun of me all the time for having this,
It's
and
okay.
rightly so. I love that I'm holding it like expose me. But this is all obviously because of the media I consume and what I see, and it's being aware of that, and it's choosing. It's like you choose that. It's not just. I think the difference is in understanding what you choose and how you choose to portray yourself. I also think it's about fun. Like dressing
Mm,
should be fun,
yeah.
but being aware that what you portray, this is not beauty. What is beauty lies beyond this.
The superficial shit.
Yeah.
And cultural conditioning is very sneaky because it makes you think you can choose freely. I think it's very important to really have a critical like mind and ask why. Why do I like this? Is it actually really question, as she said, what you think beauty is, and try not to be driven by what you have been seeing your whole life.
For example, I think it's so stupid. Okay, for example, what makes me mad, women shaving everywhere and
Oh yeah.
waxing when hair is completely natural, right? And that's been ingrained in our brains. And so now some women will say, no, but I shave because it's a personal preference. And whilst I do believe it can be a personal preference, I believe a lot also is cultural, just having embedded that notion for so long. Other thing is short men. We love short kings, and also why would that? I don't understand how that would make you less of a attractive
Yeah.
human being if
Yeah.
you're short. I just actually cannot.
Or for women tall.
It's so stupid.
It's actually, when you think about it, it's so absurd.
It's
Like the
so
fuck?
absurd.
It annoys me, we talk about it and I'm just annoyed.
I just think it's a bit sad.
Yeah.
Like I actually grieve
Mm.
for these notions, and I think about it a lot and I grieve. But I also see a lot of like movements away from that, and like I think this is not new. We're not talking about anything new. Like this is all already being moved and changed, and there's much more tolerance, and there's much more a broader view of beauty.
Okay, so now we're going to dive a bit in our personal experiences. And I want to know, when did you start feeling like your body was being judged? Or when did you start did you feel like you based your self worth on these beauty standards?
Damn.
That's a deep question. I was like, I'm gonna expose us right
I'm
now.
nervous. I think it started very early. I think in primary school, when at the age of like 11, some girls would develop curves and boobs. And, we would start to see that our bodies were changing, and you would notice the differences in the bodies. And so you would naturally analyze your body and ask, okay, am I should I develop this way? What is this thing? Oh, this is weird. Oh, okay, now I have a period, and now I have these like lumps in my chest, and like how should I dress? And then I'm getting hair underneath my armpits, and like is this normal? It just feels very like awkward. And then at first it's a very naive experience. I think it's just like you just notice the difference, but then as you get older and as you like see these changes, automatically judgment comes in. Judgment of others, judgment of yourself, comparison. And because of these gendered norms that we have in heterosexual culture as men and women, you want to feel attractive to the other sex. You're starting to interest yourself in the other sex. And it's a very basic experience of like wanting to look attractive and wanting to feel like you are worthy and valued to your peers. That's why I think also I have a problem with gendered norms, like the heterosexual man and woman dynamic. I think it's so reductionary to experiences out there, to all the different types of people, LGBTQ, that also have experiences, and their experiences are different and they get repressed by this overarching dynamic that there is. So then in secondary school, I was interested in guys. I wanted to like feel attractive. You get super judgmental, you compare yourself, you're critical, and then from there it just goes downwards, spiraling, I think. And a lot of women will attach to the idea that they're only valuable if they're skinny and pretty, because that's like one of the big narratives out there.
For me, it also started very early. Like when I was maybe 10, I started gaining a lot of weight because I was going through a lot of stuff, and food was really my only comfort and my safe space. And I feel like a lot of people experience that too. I was going through shit, so I gained a lot of weight. And at first, honestly, I didn't give a shit. Like as a kid, you don't care about how you look at first. And then it's crazy how it's all the exterior comments that impact you, and you're like, I started getting small comments. It wasn't cruel or anything. It was just like small little things. And I would see my friends being super skinny. And I was like, okay. At first I was like, okay, there's a difference, but it's not a bad difference. And then I started getting more and more comments, especially from also a member of my family who perpetuated that, being like, oh, are you sure you want to eat that? Or oh, do you want to go like do sports a bit? I was like,
Or
okay.
you would get comments about you're lazy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. And they would see this superficial thing and never question what's behind. And I really suffered under that because I was like, you don't understand what's going on right now, and you're not even questioning me. You're
Yeah,
not
sometimes unhealthy or disordered eating patterns are a symptom of something.
totally,
And in
yeah.
2012, people weren't really thinking
No,
about
no.
mental health.
And so it was just making me even more like self-conscious, because I was like, I started asking myself, what is wrong with me? Like what is wrong? Is That's not normal. And also I felt such a disgust because when I would get those comments, the person, I would see in their eyes like disgust, and I think that's the worst thing you can ever see in someone, and disappointment. And I was like, okay, so I immediately associated it also because this person is in my family. So, okay, so they say that that must be true. So I associated that to me, and I was like, okay, I'm disgusting. I'm not worth it. I'm a disappointment. It's a choice.
People made you believe that something was inherently wrong with you and
Totally,
that you were
exactly.
doing
Yeah,
something wrong,
yeah, yeah, yeah. But in that moment I couldn't change anything.
especially as
I
a
was so
child.
deep, yeah, in it. I was like, I need help. I don't need judgment. I don't need you to judge me. I don't need you to tell me or superficially say, are you sure you want to eat that piece of bread? Like
It's passive aggressive,
it's
and
so passive aggressive.
it
Yeah,
really chips away,
yeah.
especially if you're a child
Mm,
or in your teens and you're developing an image of yourself. It's really harmful.
yeah.
It's really harmful.
So I went through life, half of my teenage years, I went through life thinking I'm worthless because of my body, because of how I looked, or because like I'm not skinny. Um, so it was really hard, and I literally went through all secondary school thinking I'm unlovable, and I like no one can think I'm like it's impossible that someone could approach me romantically or be interested in me romantically because of my weight, because I'm not skinny. I would have friends who would be super skinny and say like, oh my god, I'm so fat, or oh my god, my thighs are so fat. I'm like, girl, you're a size I wanted to say a size 6. I don't
I
even
know,
know
we
what
know.
it is. You're a size
36, 38.
36, 38. Like, shut the fuck up. And they would say that in front of me. And oh, okay, it doesn't come from a bad place, but you have to consider that if you say that in front of a person who's not skinny, they're obviously going to compare themselves, because they're like, bro, if you a size 36 say you're fucking fat, what the fuck am I? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I would be like, girl, you don't even know the struggle. And to all my girlies, you know what I mean. Like skinny people will never really experience what it is to go through life having more weight, because it's really hard. Like I've seen so many interviews about women who got jobs refused because they were bigger and because they seemed lazy. So there was this girl, she first time she interviewed, she was like 100 kilos, and then she lost like maybe 50s, maybe much, but like 30, I think. So she was much skinnier. Reapplied to the same job. The first time she got declined. Second time she applied, she got accepted. Also, when you lose weight, I feel like you get much more attention also from guys. Like you get the doors opened, you're smiled at, you're looked at. But when you're bigger, you're not even looked at, you're not considered.
You're
You're
invisible.
ashamed to society. You're invisible. You're ashamed to society. Like, but that's what how it feels like. And so for me in secondary school, it was so hard. Like, I was just hopeless. I was just like, okay, at this point.
Will say here, there's so much I want to touch upon. First of all, I want to say, guys, please be mindful of your surroundings and be mindful of how you talk to yourself as well in your head and also out loud. As my sister described, everyone is dealing with this, pretty much everyone. And if you're not dealing actively with it, it's still a real concept. So if you perpetuate and actively talk about your body or self-image in a negative way, you have to realize that you are feeding into this societal construct and deepening and accepting what it's saying, and that is extremely problematic. Please do express yourself, but be mindful of it. And it's hard. I'm not going to sit here and be like, I don't talk to myself like that. I do. We do. It happens. But it's about working on it. I saw my sister in those years. I had a difficult relationship with physical appearance as well when I was younger. And so you automatically perpetuate what you believe in or what you're suffering under. So please, again, just be mindful if you're suffering from something, i.e., weight, worthiness, value. If you can't do it yourself and if it comes to a point where you can't control it anymore, then please find help. Try to find help where you can. I'm still mad at those years, and I'm still mad what I've witnessed with my sister. I have an experience that's a lot more small than what my sister lived through, but I'm extremely mad. I hold so much anger towards people for how I saw my sister go out into the world, and how I know how it impacted her image and her sense of worthiness. And it makes me so mad that this is a reality and that people perpetrate this, and then people who feed into it make me even more mad. And please, 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 please be mindful. Please, please.
Yeah.
For the love of God.
And just to continue on my experience, like I went through a weight loss journey, by the way, 26 kilos down. And at first, like the starting point, I was like, okay, I cannot do this because people will not love me. That was that I have been
So
struggling.
you started your
So
weight loss journey
exactly.
because you thought you had no inherent value the way you that you were, and so you had to get to a place of losing weight to be loved and
Totally
seen,
yeah,
basically
exactly.
just seen.
So that was my first thought, and at first I was like, oh, this is fucked up, but it's I'm gonna be honest with me, that is the truth. I do it for others, and that was the truth. I'm super honest here, like really. And so I was trying, but because I was trying for the wrong reasons, it never worked. I've been doing the yo-yo thing for years and years, and then last year, I think, was it last year, I started, like, I left secondary school and I started really working on myself. I went to therapy. Like, I've been to therapy for like 4 years, I think. I started to love myself more and to accept myself and see my worth and see my value and be surrounded by people I love. And they proved me wrong. They proved me that I could be loved and I could be worthy regardless of how I looked. When I was feeling very stable in myself and I felt like I had a good basis of self-love and self-confidence, I started doing like stuff I loved, and not forcing myself to do something because of others. And that's when I started my real weight loss journey that was super healthy, because I was doing it for myself. Because I fell in love with sports. I fell in love with going to the gym because I felt so relaxed after, and I loved eating healthy.
Oh my God, the endorphins after
It's
the gym.
crazy. I did it because it made me feel good, and it actually worked like crazy. And now I'm just very, like, I'm much more healthy with like food and stuff. Results are really crazy when you do it actually for yourself and because you enjoy it and because you're not forcing anything. And what I might say is, I do feel better, like with less weight. But it's true that I see now, the thing with like opening doors, getting smiled at. I noticed that. I noticed that I
I
get
mean,
more looks.
it's a substantial weight loss. We're
Yeah.
talking
So,
26
yeah.
kilos. I mean, and the craziest thing is I've seen the change in behavior around people around Laura.
Oh, really? You had never told
We
me. Really?
girl, guys, yeah, for sure,
Actually,
for
I
sure,
okay.
for sure.
That
And guys
crazy?
look at her in the street and like
Whatever.
whatever.
So yeah, that's my experience with everything. Okay, so now because we've talked a bit about our experience and that we were younger and stuff, what would you say your younger self? Because we have to heal our inner child.
You too, guys. I would tell my younger self there's different versions that hated different parts of me and different insecurities came up. But overall, I would say trust in the people who love you right now, just as you are. If you don't trust in yourself and if you don't believe yourself, then trust in the positive forces around you.
I would tell her to be resilient and that she's not broken. She's just growing up in a society that profits off of self doubt and feeling insecure. And no one can define your worth better than yourself. And to also trust in people that love you and support you, regardless of how you look. How would you define beauty? Where do you see beauty?
Okay, I touched upon this before. Um, but yeah, beauty for me is not about physicality. It's much more than that. Of course, I find people beautiful, physically beautiful, men and women. But to me, it's a way you carry yourself. It's a kindness. It's a generosity. It's a vulnerability. It's spark in your eye. It's a willingness to fight. It's not giving up. To me, that's beauty.
For me, beauty lies really in the imperfection and in the messiness and in like the rawness and the realness. You know, when some like the just the real. So for me, beauty is much beyond physical. It's like when someone does something they love, or the energy they get
Exude.
exude, how they light up a room, how they make you feel. And I feel like I'm friends with a lot of people who are absolutely not put together. And I love that. Girls, I love you. And I love it because it's real, you know, and they're themselves. And that's where I see the beauty, when you're authentic and when you're yourself. What would you hope for the next generation to come?
Well, TikTok is a problem. That thing is evil, I think. I see a lot of younger generations, 13, 14-year-olds, already really putting a lot of attention on their physical aspect. It's hard for me to see because for some, there's no thought behind it. It's just a creative expression and they like it, and that's fine and it's fun and that's great. For others, it's tied to self worth and value. And yeah, I think social media and this digitalization and trends and algorithms is making it worse. I hope that we find solutions and pathways how we can talk about these subjects and bring them to light a little bit, how we're doing here, where more and more people speak up about what to look out for and how to critically assess your behaviors and how you're thinking, because I think that's the only way that we can make even a little bit of a change.
I hope for the next generation to see through all the filters and be very critical of everything, and that they don't have to base their values on if they fit a certain standard or not, and that they're worth it and they're loved.
I preach this because I have a hard time doing this. So I think I preach loudest what I can't do with myself. And I would say be compassionate with yourself and give yourself grace, even if you're at rock bottom, even if you feel disgusting and hated and unworthy. Please believe in what I say. Like, time, trust the people you love. I hope you're well supported. If not, please seek for help. But you deserve grace and compassion. So try to give that to yourself, even if it's hard. So thank you so much for listening to this episode. I hope you found it at least a little bit interesting. I hope that you found a safe space where you can listen to all our experiences, and I hope that you could relate, or that you thought of someone or even yourself, and that after this you will be kind to yourself and say some nice words. And yeah, thank you so much for listening.
Subscribe,
Like,
like, share,
comment,
do all the good stuff.
and we love you.
Yeah, love you.
Bye.